Hey guys, I'm Michael from Vevo. You guys already know Meghan. I want to do another survey because everyone did one, but can I get a raise of hands when you think of carbonated soft drinks? Who calls it pop? Wow, one. Soda. Any others?
Man, I call it Coke.
Coke? No, I'm from Central Florida, and I was going to say my whole family called it Coke. And
It's what you grew up with.
yeah, exactly. So, no matter what you call it, these products are a big part of our identity, and I think that's why it's so neat to be talking about Olipop. It's a brand that is revolutionizing the Coke, soda, pop space. But before we get there, Meghan, I want you to take us through your journey. You've got a really great resume working with major emerging brands. Bring us through some of the projects that have crafted you as a marketer.
Yeah, I grew up in the advertising world before I went brand side, so from the dark side to the light side, or the other way around, however you choose to view it. And worked on large brands, General Motors to General Mills, and really found my passion for food and beverage. I just love the intimate relationship that consumers have with a brand of pancakes they grew up eating every Saturday morning. So much more intimate than at least relationship I have with my shampoo or my deodorant. So I've chosen to really focus on food and beverage, and so just over a decade ago, I switched over to brand side, working at large multinationals like Nestle and Tyson, before focusing on more emerging challenger brands like Vital Farms, Kalina Yogurt, and now Olipop. And so I think I've gained some really fantastic foundations about how big brands do big brands marketing, and where I've really found the greatest challenge is taking smaller brands along for that journey. And it's a fun experimentation because you really have to reinvent your marketing playbook as you go along on that growth journey. And I think one of the first examples of that where I got my high in scaling brands was launching the Hillshire Snacking brand. It's a brand of refrigerated charcuterie, so like a small plate that's similar to an adult Lunchable. That was kind of the likeness that we were creating. And we grew that brand from 0 to 50 million in the first year. It was a really exciting ride, so many challenges along the way, but I think we not only innovated in how we brought that product to market by putting out a minimum viable proposition. It wasn't profitable, we knew it wasn't perfect, but it's like, we know that snacking's a trend, we know that protein's a trend, let's just put it out there and we know we'll iterate from there. So we dramatically improved the product proposition through some test markets, went to market in a very different way. Most brands launch with TV, print, out of home, all the traditional mass media, but we knew that if we wanted to reach a millennial foodie, they weren't watching CNN at night, they weren't flipping through Real Simple. So we led with experiential. We hosted a snack week in the likeness of Restaurant Week, with Andy Cohen kicking off that party, inviting media and influencers, and really created content, probably 60 different videos from that one night, and that became our content for the full year. And I think that connected with consumers because these were just like small chats with like Top Chef contestants about their favorite snacks growing up, etc. So I think that story of authenticity and really disrupting marketing models is something that I really enjoyed, and I look forward to doing more of at Olipop.
Awesome, yeah, the convenience innovations are huge to me. New father looking for ways to streamline my eating processes. But let's talk a little bit more about innovation. I was doing some research on the CPG space. 85% of innovations break through incremental are failures. So how can a brand beat the odds? What are some practices that you've implemented to give your brand the best chance for lasting innovation and long-term growth?
Yeah, I think it starts out with putting that minimum viable product out in the marketplace because so many large brands spend way too much time and money doing all the research in the world, but the best research is real live in-market data. Will people actually put a dollar behind this versus a virtual dollar? So I think it starts with accepting that imperfection and getting it 80% of the way there, and then learning the next 20% of the way, and I think Olipop certainly did that in launching this product proposition. It didn't start out as positioned as a soda. The founders positioned it as a sparkling tonic, and very quickly realized people don't know what a sparkling tonic is. And while the founders knew that they were trying to replicate a soda, they hadn't really connected the dots that they needed to make that connection with consumers. So very quickly pivoted to just repositioning it as a new kind of soda. And that was really a game changer in expanding the audience for the brand, because if they had stayed in that healthy tonic sphere, they probably would have stayed at Whole Foods and not been successful at Walmart and Target, which are two leading retailers today. So it's using that in-market data and just continuing to iterate to greatness that's critically important.
Yeah, if you haven't heard the founder story, there's a lot of podcasts where the founder is explaining how he came to Olipop. Sparkling tonic sounds pretty good. I heard kefir was an initial ingredient in one of the products as well, and that's even more of a stretch. Olipop, less than $1 million in revenue in 2019, going towards $500 million this year. You joined 5 months ago in June. What excited you most about jumping on this rocket ship?
Yeah, there are very few true innovations out there that can absolutely disrupt an entire category. And Olipop has the potential to do that. It absolutely replicates the flavor profile of traditional sodas, the Cokes, the Pepsis, the Dews in the world, but actually makes it good for you with digestive health benefits. And as I mentioned on the prior panel, it's that potential to actually save lives with soda that is so ridiculous, but also amazing. And so the growth potential is, you can't even quantify it. So I think that's what excited me so much. It reminds me very much of how Shivani disrupted the yogurt category and totally changed consumer expectations and overtook the behemoths that are now being sold off because their parent company doesn't see the growth potential in them anymore. So I'm really excited that we're now ready to take on those big soda players and not be just a niche functional soda, but to be the one and only good for you soda out there.
Yeah, it's been a weird paradigm shift for me. When you have a soda Coke pop, it's like a bad day. I had to get a treat. But now when I grab an Olipop at work, I feel like I'm not throwing my whole day off, which is really nice. You're taking on big soda. You're obviously trying to differentiate yourself, so I'm hoping you can talk a little bit about that, but also tell us where you're taking them head on.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest ways that we're taking on big soda is big soda has an ironclad grip on sports. We all know that, and they've got locked up all of the arenas and stadiums, and it's near impossible for any other beverages to get any of those licensing agreements so you can enjoy an Olipop at a Cowboys game or a Bears game, etc. So we've really focused on finding cracks in big soda and identifying new stadiums or new teams where those partnerships have not been locked in. And so you may have seen we secured partnership with the LA Clippers, at Barclays, a variety of different sporting teams where you now can actually enjoy an Olipop as an alternative to traditional soda or even alcoholic beverages, because our really selling proposition to these arenas and stadiums is that, hey, Gen Z might not want a beer or a cocktail at these games. We know that more and more consumers are walking away from them. They're looking for flavorful, more interesting alternatives because they don't really want to just drink water or a sparkling water. They want to feel a part of the event. They want to have something that's more experiential. They're looking for that. And we have incredible strength with Gen Zs and millennials, so it provides the alternative that they're looking for. So I think that's one of the ways we're sneaking into those cracks. We're trying to find them here, there, and everywhere. And I think the other major unlock for us is that we just launched a shelf-stable version of our Olipop. Previously, we could only be refrigerated because based on our formulation, that would maintain the integrity of our ingredients. Well, we found a way to modify the ingredient statement while maintaining the product for the flavor profile to have something that is stable through this shelf life without needing for it to be refrigerated. And that's going to be huge for us because you think about, where do you shop for soda? in the soda aisle. Were we there? No, we weren't, but all of our competitors were. So it's going to be a huge unlock for us to actually be found in the spaces and places of our key direct competitors. And I think, also it's just infusing ourselves in culture like the Nicki Minaj music video. So we're finding all places that soda has owned. We're finding little ways in to grow that.
Shout out to Vevo for distributing that music video. So you talked about your new competitor, shelf-stable product. Double-parted question, is there anything else on the horizon for Olipop or any other CPG market trends that are really exciting you right now?
Ooh, there's a lot that's coming down the pipeline and a lot that I can't share just yet. So I think we had a really successful Dry January campaign earlier this year, the Mocktails in Minutes, where we partnered with Instacart to offer free Olipop shipped directly to consumers' homes every Friday night to help them hold on to those goals. So I would expect us to continue to latch on to that mocktails trend, because that's something that continues to pervade the marketplace and is certainly popping with Gen Z. We'll have an exciting holiday campaign coming up in another month, so look out for that. You might have also seen some Easter eggs of those new holiday cans in the marketplace, because they are shockingly starting to hit the market already, even though it's only October.
Awesome. Can't wait for those. Shifting away from Olipop for the last bit, you work with, is it SKU or SKU?
SKU.
Okay, SKU.
Accelerator.
Acronyms. But you work with mentoring startups through SKU. Can you talk with us a little bit about the brands that you've worked with and sort of the differences in working with these brands that are just getting started and emerging in their spaces?
Yeah, so SKU is one of the largest CPG accelerators in the nation that started here in Austin, and it's helped a lot of emerging brands that you are probably now familiar with grow astronomically. One of those big success stories is Siete, who was just sold to Pepsi for $1.2 billion, but started at SKU several years ago with very different packaging, not a clear vision of what their value proposition was. They started out as just like a tortilla company, and now they've become a true inclusive Mexican food brand and have identified, that insight that everyone wants to be a part of the table and they want to be consuming the same things despite their dietary needs. So some of the brands that I've worked on are 10 Prenatal Bars, as well as Kelsey's Kitchen. 10 Prenatal Bars is a whole food prenatal. So think of it as a perfect bar that's actually prenatal and has all the vitamins and minerals you need through whole food sources. Pretty cool proposition. It's just D2C at this point, but I can see a huge opportunity for that brand to go to retail. And it started from a real insight as a husband and wife. Wife got pregnant. He could see that she was struggling with these horse pills. And he is a PhD, and he was like, you know what, you're probably not even absorbing those minerals. Why don't I make you something that will actually be absorbed by your body? So a lot of working with these very early stage brands is figuring out that go-to-market strategy, because it's so important to have real prioritization about how you go to market, because so many brands go too far and too wide, too fast. So they can go to a question of like, hey, Whole Foods is interested, Sprouts is interested, should we go after it? And we're like, ooh, we better make like the business case right in D2C first. You'll have the opportunity to go to Whole Foods and Sprouts in the future, but do you have the cash flow? Do you have the inventory? Do you have the capacity of your current manufacturer? Because that's going to change your business model overnight. So helped to convey to the founders the need to have that patience and to have that roadmap and to build so that you can truly be successful when you go to Whole Foods. As well as just making sure they fully understand who is that consumer, because everything has to be consumer first. That's where the most successful brands thrive is solving a true need in the marketplace and understanding that need, both on an emotional but also a functional basis. Figuring out how you do that storytelling, I think that's something we're continually challenged with at Olipop, is how deep do we go on emotional benefit, this functional benefit, and I think that's one of the learnings from those early stages when we were really focused on functional benefits of our sparkling tonic, and people were like, ew, gross. So we needed to show consumers that this was going to be the same grape soda you enjoyed growing up, but it's going to have better for you benefits.
Yeah, there's a study done that we're at the lowest point in innovation from a quantity standpoint in the last 10 years, but I think we're finding balance with quality. A lot of these small D2C brands looking at consumers and their needs and launching really breakthrough innovations to help people, so it may be a good thing. We're going to open things up to questions.
Meghan, you mentioned the shelf stability, right, which obviously leads to many more retail opportunities. Do you have a retail media game plan yet, or is that too early because you're really not in a lot of retailers yet?
Oh, we are in quite a few retailers. We're in 30,000 retailers nationwide. Walmart and Target are our largest retailers. We've expanded beyond the natural channel. I think our biggest opportunities are expanding within those existing retailers to that soda set. As well as we have a big opportunity to expand into new channels. Think about convenience. Most convenience stores don't have a lot of refrigerated cooler space. So this is going to be a huge unlock for us as well. We secured Wawa and a test at 7-Eleven, so we're starting to make headway on that front. So yeah, we do have a shop marketing team that's building out those game plans for how we support success at the retail shelf.
I was curious, there's some really good stories in the marketplace from emerging brands. Like, I think Ghost is a really good one, where they leverage licensing deals with Mondelez to get into their distribution. So they use those types of partnerships for scaling. Then you have, there's a cool store with Super Coffee now. They tried to get into convenience stores, their existing product, and now they completely changed their product to fit perfectly for the convenience store consumer. I guess just based off those two stories, curious about Olipop's kind of future vision when it comes to product development for those different distributions, and then how maybe Olipop's leveraging partnerships to get that too.
Yeah, I saw that example from Super Coffee, and I think it was a really smart pivot to win back that business as they nearly lost their entire convenience business, which is wild. So it proves that you can truly make a comeback. So I think, it's really important to understand the environment and the pain points of your retailers. So for convenience, obviously one of those pain points was the refrigerated cooler space. They just wanted to have Olipop on shelves but didn't have the space for it. So we developed that shelf-stable proposition. Also, they have much more limited shelf space specifically. So we released at NACS a couple of weeks ago that we're going to be launching slim cans. So that we have a smaller footprint for that convenience channel. So that'll be specific to the convenience channel, as well as we recently launched at Starbucks, and they'll have those new slim cans as well. So that's a bit of a test for us, and it's a minor change, but the footprint matters when you have really limited real estate. So I think that's critically important. I think leveraging some of these partnerships like Barbie as well as our Minions partnership have enabled us to really show our relevance and culture to these retailers and how we're going to be able to amplify these programs, because as a small brand, we don't have the dollars that's a Coke or a Pepsi, but if we can latch on to something like Minions, then that's going to enable our budget to go that much further. So I think that's been important. And being strategic about exclusive. Every retailer is going to want an exclusive, making sure you're not extending that exclusivity too far to disappoint your partners. So we have mini cans exclusively at Target right now, but we'll eventually open that up to further retailers. So we want to be great partners to Target because we've been incredibly successful there. But we also don't want to not give some love to our other retailers.
How much emphasis do you put on getting into restaurants? And I just think it's in terms of personal discovery, I remember being here now with Tito's back in the day in New York, and it was on bar menus, it was showing up in the best restaurants, and ultimately that's how I got introduced to that. And I think the same here when you travel, and you discover things and you pour in bars in the right restaurants. For me, that's sort of the holy grail in some respects, more so than, at least for me, than stores. So I'm just curious to hear about your strategy there with mocktails as well, but also just as a soft drink.
Yeah, I think that's how Impossible Foods really ballooned their success, was by starting in restaurants as a discovery point for consumers who then went to the retail store after they tried it, because it can be overwhelming to say, I'm going to buy a full package of this weird burger, but I tried it once at a restaurant and now I'm bought into the proposition. So we're starting to make headway. We've got a lot more room in that space. So Sweet Cream was one of our early partners, the health-conscious consumer, very Gen Z, millennial, really aligned both of our consumer targets. So that's been a really successful partnership with us. For us, as I mentioned, we just partnered with Starbucks as well. That's just hitting shelves now. So it's become more and more of an opportunity for us to be that source of discovery for consumers, especially since not a lot of people have been looking in the produce aisle for soda. So that's going to continue to be a key strategy for us.
Thank you.
Yeah.